You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Kara's already laughing across the table.
You're so animated.
Like, this episode is going to be epic.
I'm so excited.
I can tell already. You guys, today on the show, I have Kara Winslow, who is a famous makeup artist and the master of selfies here in Gainesville, Florida. I mean, she's all over the selfie game.
I do love my selfies.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Absolutely crush the selfies. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Super excited to have you and super excited to get in. It's funny because, we've known of each other for so long.
Yes.
We're basically at that point in time where if you have at least 50 mutual friends on Facebook, that automatically qualifies you to become friends with somebody else.
Exactly, yes.
So we I think at some point crossed like the 150 mutual friends on Facebook, like that line. And we're like, okay, we can be friends now.
Yes, exactly.
And literally we met each other for the first time, 2 months ago?
Yes, yeah. I think it was 2 months ago. It was at that chamber event.
Okay, so I've been doing this stuff, getting these round tables ready with the chamber. It was there when I first met you. We took our very first selfie together.
Very first selfie. It was so excited.
And basically BFFs since.
Exactly. We are total BFFs. 100%.
So this is awesome. And it's funny because I was reflecting back to the point that you were referred by other guests that were on the show saying you have to get Kara Winslow on. Yeah, and we tried and you denied me twice because you're like, I got this MTV thing in New York. I got this home shopping network thing. I'm like, yes.
Every single time I had to go out of town for a gig. So.
But I'm like, but you don't understand. This is the WHOA GNV podcast.
Super important. I know this now. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
Anyway, guys, we worked a really, really long time. I mean, months. Basically since episode 3 or 4 when we had Brooke Newell on, since the early, one of those early episodes. And she's finally here.
I am finally here. I am very excited to be here too.
All right, cool. We're gonna have a good time. But before we get into origin story, all that kind of, you know our format a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get into that though, I have a very special guest co-host with me today. Another student entrepreneur from the University of Florida. Her name is Natasha Jewett. Natasha, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great today.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. So what year are you in school?
I am a senior advertising major here at UF, so it's going great.
So you're going to be done in May? Or?
I'm going to be done in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have anything lined up, ready to go, or are you going to focus on your
I
business?
think I'm going to focus on my business. We're testing the waters out because I've just found new passions recently, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more about that.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? What's the name of your company, and what do you do? And
yes, I will give you the whole spiel.
Yeah.
So the name of my company is Suede, and basically what it is a jewelry company. But I started about 2 years ago. I've just always had the knack for entrepreneurship. I was that kid selling lemonade on the weekends when everyone was hanging out and selling little bracelets to the girls in my class and, always hustling. And yeah, when my sophomore year came around, I was like, God, I got to start a business. I wanted to do it. And my mom was learning how to make jewelry. And I was like, oh, how can I turn that into money? So I started learning from her a little bit, and I just came back, and with my roommates, we were like, let's start a choker company. Let's do it, because chokers were the trend at the time. So we would be up till 4 a.m. in our apartment, crafting little chokers, with our hands, horrible. We're not jewelry designers. So we'd be up till 4 a.m. doing all that. And eventually, we launched in October of 2016, and we would just sell to everyone here. We were really popular with all the sorority girls. It was game day season. So that's what we became known for, our game day chokers.
Oh, that's cool.
And just ever since then, now I run the business, myself, because my 2 roommates got a bit busy. But I absolutely love it. We've expanded, we sell online. We're at events all over Gainesville and Miami.
Okay, so you're doing like little pop-up events?
Yeah, I do. I'm everywhere. So all the little pop-ups here.
And you do like e-commerce too?
Yeah,
or?
I do e-commerce. We started just on Instagram. So we'd only sell on Instagram, DM us and we'd send them a little invoice. And now,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so
like,
That's
I know.
fantastic.
Yeah, so it was crazy. It was like such a little hustle. And then now, we have our full website, e-commerce, all that. And then we do
What
a lot
are you
of
using for
shows.
E-commerce? Is it Shopify or?
No, so I actually use Wix and their store platform because
Okay.
I just fell in love with like using Wix as a platform because I love the web design too because I did my website as well.
Yeah.
And it's just so easy. Everything's there, like the e-marketing, everything like that. So I did that, and now we're working, putting ourselves in stores. We're in where are we? Gators Plus next to Sushi Chow here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to do some commission work on like hair salons and stuff like that because jewelry does really well there, and that's just what I'm working on now, and I'm having so much fun. Now I design the jewelry, and I have a team in Miami who makes it for me, so I no longer have to get arthritis at the age of 22. Yeah, that's kind of what I do, and I love it. It's
That's
it's so
cool.
fun, and the whole social media thing. It's been quite a ride, so I love it.
Cool. I don't know how much you know about like our podcast and a lot of my purpose behind doing it, but it's really, especially while my co-host Ty is gone, like he's a professional golfer and he's like overseas right now.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll be back in a month. And then I'm like, hey, you coming back? He's like, yeah, no, I'm not coming back. It's like I at some point I'm coming back, but right now things are going well. And so we don't know when it's expected to come back. I'm just kind of messaging him on Instagram saying, hey buddy, what's up?
Remember me?
So, but while he's gone, I was like, we've had some nonprofits on the show as guest co-hosts, which has been really great. And now I'm like trying to get some student entrepreneurs in here and be co-hosts because I think it's a great opportunity to learn. And one, I want to build those connections. And I obviously a lot of listeners know that I really want to get a lot of student entrepreneurs to realize, hey, like I could stay in Gainesville once I graduate and actually have my business here, which is cool. But at the same time, get like a little bit of education, be able to ask somebody with a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, some questions. And so I'm excited that you're here to be my guest co-host.
Yeah, I was listening to your podcast that you probably at this point we have filmed like a month or so ago.
Sure.
You were talking to, was it Gator Loop? But you guys were talking about it. You had
That just released this week, but we did film it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know when this will be released, so we never know. But yeah, I was listening to it, and you guys were talking about how like the startup community here is crazy, and there's such a bubble, and you don't realize it until you like pop the bubble. And this past year and a little bit of my junior year, I finally like stepped out and like stepped into Gainesville, not University of Florida.
Right.
There's like so many people here. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like the startup community is, it's insane. So
And flourishing, like
yeah, and
it's doing really, really well.
It's doing amazing, and it's so cool to like meet all those people. And like we have our student entrepreneur group, and we like meet up all the time. And we grab coffee and stuff, and we just like talk about how great it is to, like be here, especially like if you're an entrepreneur here, you're like a step ahead. So like there's so much like opportunity here. So I don't know where I'll be, but my sister just got into the University of Florida, so she'll be here. So I'll for sure still be in Gainesville for the next 4 years doing something because it's such a cool city,
Cool. Do you like music?
Yes.
What's your favorite kind of music?
Oh God, I love all music. I'm a big fan of Taylor Swift.
Do you like rap?
I do like rap.
Do you have a favorite rapper?
Oh God, am I gonna sound basic saying Drake? I'm gonna say it, Drake.
Drake?
So-
Kara, what about you? Do you have a favorite rapper?
I don't think I have a favorite rapper, but you're talking to the girl who is really just obsessed with New Kids on the Block still.
Oh my God.
So
Well, let me tell you guys, I have a favorite rapper. And that rapper is Rap Spot. Over to like you like my
Oh my
segue
God.
into my segue into our sponsor there.
Yeah.
I thought that went really well. My favorite rapper is Rap Spot. You guys, Rap Spot is our first sponsor of this podcast. I love those guys, Garrick, Taylor, the team down there. Shout out again. Appreciate you guys sponsoring us, and this is what we're doing. In fact, like real quick, I mean, they did your rap.
they did my
on
rap.
Your
Yes,
car.
they did.
I mean, it has Kara's head and face, like giant, like right on the side of
It's
it. So it's
kinda
Kara
epic.
Winslow. It's all
amazing.
pinked out.
And it sparkles too. If you get it under the right
Really?
light, it literally sparkles.
Oh my
They
God.
did an amazing job, y'all.
so like they
Amazing.
did your rap.
Yes.
think I took a photo of it outside. I was like, oh, my
good.
God.
Dude,
Yes.
everybody
Put it on
does
social
that.
media,
I'm going to post it. Yeah.
Hold on,
I'm going to post it.
It's actually genius.
Thank you.
I mean, it's actually genius because everybody's going up to that car and
Yeah.
taking a selfie
Yes.
with your car. You don't even have to do the selfie work yourself anymore.
I know. It's
you're in it.
fantastic.
Oh my
I'm
God.
always in the photo.
Your car does it for you.
It does. And I even started monthly contests. So if you
Really?
hashtag KWMUA car selfie, you get entered into a contest.
Oh.
So like
know what I'm
I've made
doing
it a
after this.
whole campaign.
This is actually brilliant branding.
Thank you. I try.
I mean, I'm like, the fact that people, you don't even have to take the selfies, yet you're still getting tagged in
Yes.
everybody else's selfie.
Yes.
And the awareness through this is actually pretty incredible.
It's been amazing. I actually didn't even come up with the idea because the night that I got my car, I was sitting in a restaurant actually with Taylor from Rap Spot and some other people, and someone came over and I said, go check out the car. And the next thing I knew, they had taken a selfie with it and tagged me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I've just started something. Like, now we're on.
Dude, that's awesome. It's I mean, it's brilliant. It's actually really, really cool, and it's pink and it's sparkly. And so this is what we're doing because we wanted to basically use this as an opportunity to bring more awareness to our podcast. Like, we're trying to get the podcast shared. We want lots of people to know our mission and like what we're doing. And the Rap Spot team has been super into that and helping us achieve that. And so what we are doing is we're actually giving away a $2,500 wrap.
Nice.
So
Nice.
this is what you can do. Businesses, only everybody who's listening, you need to go to whoagnv.com, click giveaway, and then just register to win. There's just a very short form on there. You just register to win, and that's it. And then you are entered to win. And if you have like friends that don't necessarily have businesses and they don't like, if you listen to the show but you don't have a business and you're like, I don't necessarily need a wrap. I mean, you could always just put your face on the. You can always do what Kara does.
You could
cover your
just
car
put
in
your
your
face
face.
all over it. It's
Like-
been great, let me tell you.
And let other people take selfies with your car if you really wanted to, or you could like donate it to your favorite business or charity here in town if you win. So like, it's going to be a really, really great opportunity.
That's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really cool, and so for us, we hope to benefit from obviously like the exposure, being able to like get the word out about our podcast. Same thing for like Rap Spot. That's why they're doing this as their sponsor, because we're not like monetarily like benefiting from it. Like, I'm not getting money from them. It's really an effort to give something super special to a Gainesville business or nonprofit or whomever here in Gainesville. So we're obviously super, super excited about it.
That's great.
And maybe I'll just start. I actually am now thinking about putting my face on the side of my car.
You totally should.
Well, I think I could actually, no offense, Kara, I think I could actually win a
I don't think
competition.
so.
Like
No,
a
no.
selfie competition.
No,
Okay, you just started something.
Selfie war with our cars.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks again to Rap Spot. Appreciate you guys sponsoring our podcast. And if you're interested in sponsoring a future show, like, definitely hit me up at Collin at repaintthewall.com. And because we're going to be looking for sponsors as we grow this baby, because this is getting expensive. But anyway, on with the show. Kara, I'm so glad that you're here. This is going to be awesome. You know our format. Like,
Yes.
I like to go back in the day a little bit, like hear how this even happened. I know a little bit to the point where you didn't even realize you had a business, and the city is like, hey, you have a business now. Like,
Oops.
pay us.
How did that happen?
Yeah. But tell everybody your story, please.
So yeah, I did not mean to become a makeup artist. That was not my life plan. I did not know it was a real job. When I started, there wasn't the big social media push on makeup artist. It wasn't something that you saw on reality TV all the time, because I started doing this about a decade ago, and I really thought the only thing you could do with makeup was like live in New York, Miami, LA, or work at a mall. Like, those
Yeah.
were the options for makeup. So my background is theater, film, and television. I was very fortunate. I had some amazing experiences. I had started working my dream job at a professional theater. It wasn't a dream, it was a nightmare. Different type of dream there. So I was actually beyond miserable at my job. I was making about $1,700 a month, which you can't live on. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. I was crying every day. I was puking on my way to work. But during that time period, I was cast in a small independent film. And really, I just was excited to, you know, get to be on camera and act and all of that. And first day I show up, there's a makeup artist with a bag from CVS. And I'm allergic to most makeup. So when she pulled that out, I was like, oh, God, don't touch my face. I knew I was going to break out in hives. My face was going to swell up. Something was going to happen. So I asked if I could do my own makeup. They said, sure. Didn't think anything of it. 3 days in, she stopped showing up. So I jumped in and started helping with makeup because the director asked me and he was cute. So, you know, you just do it. Really thought nothing of it. You know, thought maybe I'd get a date. That was really as far as I thought ahead. About 8 months later, I was cast on Home Shopping Network as a spokesmodel for a cosmetics line. Again, I thought, cool, I get to go be on live national television.
And that just came from that opportunity?
It came from a different opportunity. So I had an agent. I actually was signed with 3 agencies in the state because Florida's right to work, so you can sign with multiple agents. And one of my agents sent me to casting calls at HSN on a regular basis. And I actually didn't think I had gotten this booking because they picked 5 girls that day. I was not one of them. 2 months later, I got a call from my agent that I booked 1 spot at midnight, and I actually was going to lose money to do it because I had to, at that point, rent a car because my car wouldn't make it on the highway at that point. I had to get a hotel room. I had to pay for food and gas. And after the cut that my agent took, I was losing money, but something in my gut said, girl, you got to go do this. And I did it. And I ended up being recast repeatedly with a brand and ended up becoming their official USA makeup artist and was with them for 10 years. Wow. So that was all from a casting that I didn't think I got and a booking where I was going to lose money. But I did it because something said, you got to go. Right. Yeah. So again, I just thought, you know, I'm just going on TV. I'm playing with makeup. Like, I didn't realize it would be a 10-year gig and that I would become an official makeup artist for a brand for a period of time. And then a year after I did that film, the producer called and said, I gave your number to someone. And I had briefly dated his brother, the director. It did not go well. Shocking. Actress, director. But anyways, I thought he was trying to set me up on a date. So I was like freaking out because, like, why is he just giving my number to someone? Like, what are you doing? And instead, the next day, MTV called me. Wow. And I did my first real gig as a makeup artist. I thought I was being totally punked, especially when they told me to show up to the bar balls for filming. I really thought I was being punked. That can't be for real.
Is the bar still around?
I don't know.
Changed or something?
I have no idea what it is now.
That's here in Gainesville.
Yeah, it's here in Gainesville.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, I'm like, I literally only went to film a commercial for acts with MTV. But yeah, so I thought that was going to be a blip. Like, this isn't for real. Like, this is never happening again. But it kept happening until, like you said, I was sitting at my desk at my real job, and my phone rang at my real job, and the city said...
Can you tell us what that job was?
I was director...
Like what type of job it was?
I was director of development for a nonprofit professional theater.
Okay.
And so literally, like, that phone rang and it was the city saying, you owe us money for a business license. And I thought they had lost their mind because I was like, I don't own a business. Like, what are you talking
what year
about?
Was this?
This was probably 2010, 2011. I had no clue. Like, I don't even know how they found me. I have no clue how this happened. And so then I registered, and then in 2012, I left my job just on a whim. And I've been doing this full time ever since.
Wow.
What was that transition like?
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Because I was working at a job where I was making $1,700 a month. It meant I had no savings. I had no money in my bank account. I mean, I went into overdraft on a regular basis just paying for my basic, survival. I didn't know where I was getting food on a regular basis. I lived in a really sketchy neighborhood where we had the cops coming through every night. I had a drug dealer who kept an eye out for me. So when I quit, I was terrified. I mean, I had no backup. I did not have a family who could give me money. I didn't have a spouse whose income could help me. It was just me. I had no safety net. And I literally just quit. I turned in my 2 weeks notice and was like, I'm out. And I had to quickly hustle and find work. I met with every photographer, every wedding vendor, anyone I knew of who was in the industry and said, can you guys support me? Will you guys like back me and endorse what I do? And every single one said yes. And they all said I was ready to do it. And I was like, I think y'all are crazy, but okay, I'm doing it. And I was fortunate. I was very active in the junior league at the time. And those ladies really put their arms around me, really supported me. One of them helped me get a short-term part-time job just to have a little money coming in, because I had nothing. I really honestly thought I was going to be homeless. I thought I was going to lose everything. But here we are today.
Shout out to Junior League.
Yeah. The Junior League, really, those women are so amazing and supportive. And they really, if it was not for my involvement in that organization, I really honestly don't know where I would be now, because they were the ones who really did put their wings around me.
Okay, but so you still had, or you were getting lined up these jobs from
different
opportunities that were coming up. So like you kind of knew that, hey, like this is around the corner. Like
I really honestly
or you weren't. You had no idea.
I wasn't even aware. No, like
as steady as it was.
No, because at that point I would be getting gigs, but it wasn't steady. It was like maybe 2 or 3 times a month I was getting a job. So like when I first started doing this, I was excited to make an extra $5,000 to $10,000 a year. Which, I mean, as you know, you can't live on $5,000 to $10,000 a year. That doesn't really pay your bills. So I had to quickly take it from that level to enough to actually be able to survive. Very quickly overnight, and just be out there hustling to make that occur.
Okay, so what did you do? Like what was considered your hustling?
For me, my hustling was being involved in the community as much as possible. It was total self-promotion, self-marketing, a lot of guerrilla marketing, which I had learned from years of theater. You learn to hustle to get people in the audience. I was doing the same type thing with this. I was sort of selling myself like I did as an actor also. It was like constant auditioning. So I got involved in organizations. I started partnering with magazines where I would do the makeup for them, and then they would give me advertising, and then they also brought me on to be their society editor. So Gainesville Today magazine at that time was still around, and they literally created a position for me to go out to every big charity event in town, shake hands with people, take photos of them, and then that got me into those events. It got me seen by the people. It got me so that I was recognized by people who had the income to pay to have their makeup done. And then, like I say, it traded out for advertising, and they wrote several articles about me that just got awareness about what I was doing into the community. And that sort of continued. Gainesville Today, I left, then I went to Village Journal. They ended up closing that magazine down with Giggle and Wellness 360 and do the same type thing where I go and I represent the magazine and take photos of events and get to interact with my client base.
That's cool.
So, and that's been a great sort of benefit to both entities. They get the events covered for them, and I get to go shake hands. They get their makeup done for their magazines. I get advertising. So, it's a win-win. But it kept that out there. And because of my work in nonprofits, I learned the value of trade. I learned how important being able to trade was, because we did that with all of our nonprofits for sponsorships and things like that. And so I started working with different companies doing that. Like, I worked with a company on trade to get my logo because I knew that was important. And I didn't have the money. I mean, I didn't have money for food, no less, advertising and marketing. So I had to come up with creative ways to get my name out there, to get the visibility without having actually spending money, because there just wasn't any.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just straight up bootstrap mentality.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, I feel like it was very much in a similar place.
Yeah.
In those early days, you're just like, what can I do to not hand over cash to somebody?
Exactly. Well, that's literally what it was, because there was no option. So, who needs their makeup done? Who needs, I know how to pick up a camera and focus it. Like, what can I do? And I never claimed to be a real photographer. I always laugh at them. I'm like, y'all know I'm not really a photographer. I don't actually know what I'm doing. But I know how to focus a camera. Yeah, like, exactly. I got you there. But they recognized, they were like, we just need snapshots, and we need someone who can represent us, and you can do that, and you represent your own brand. And so, it was anything I could do to get those things I needed to start with.
So when did it really start to turn from this, go, hustle, bootstrap mentality to a, oh my God, okay, I can breathe.
I still can't breathe. To be honest, 100% honest, it is still a hustle. It's constantly a hustle. And, to be completely honest, this past month has been...
Is that just the lifestyle of, the position, the career, or do you think that's going to change?
I would love for it to change. I would totally love for it to change. But I think, at least right now, it's still somewhat just the gig itself, because there's no consistency. Literally no consistency. I can have a month where I bring in less than $3,000, and then the next month I'm bringing in $10,000. And there's no way to look back and say, this is what happened last year, this is the trends. There's no trends with what I do. So there's no way to predict. When I get a gig, I get a gig. I might go 2 weeks without a gig. I might be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at other times. So there's no way to know. And I recognize that when you hit sort of what's perceived as like the top of the biz, that's when you really have to sort of dig in and grind almost even more, because it's harder to maintain being on top than it is to crawl to get there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's a target on your back at this point. There's someone always wanting to pull you down.
Yeah.
So for me, I hustle even more now almost than I did then, but it's different ways. I know I have a meal coming, like, thank God. But it's different type of hustle and drive at this point.
And you're a one-woman show?
For the most part. I have girls that come in and help me. They do not, they're not full-time employees, but I do have girls that I have trained who will then go out and take gigs when I can't. So I have Kayla, who's been with me for about 2 years, working with clients. I have Kylie, who I'm training. Apparently, you can only work with me if your name is Kay.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, all of them have K names.
Second Kardashian.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So they work with me on taking clients. So we are sponsoring Viva for hospice coming up, and so the whole team will be with me, and we'll be working together to make that happen. And then I also am very lucky because I have a very close relationship with another makeup artist here in town who has her own brand, but in big situations I can call on her.
That's cool.
And she will actually come in and help me with my gigs. Even will wear my shirt with my brand on it. And we have this great relationship where I can rely on her to help me when I'm in a bind, because otherwise it is just me, and I can only be in so many places at once.
Yeah.
Will you share numbers with me, or is that too personal?
No, I'll share
Okay,
numbers.
so what's today in 2019, what's a terrible month?
Well, this past month has been terrible. Literally, I've brought in less than $3,000.
Okay, so
so that's been a really crappy month. However, I'm looking at next month, and we haven't even started March yet, and already on the books I have close to $9,000. And I know that'll keep going up because I get a lot of last minute work. So literally, it's a roller coaster. I don't know from minute to minute.
Do you know average?
As in an average month?
I mean, if you took last year and...
If I looked at last year's now last year was a higher year for me than previously. Last year's my average month was about $6,000.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but that's the industry though,
Yeah.
because when you're in retail, fashion, makeup, it's not like when I look at my dad, he's in IT, and someone needs to get their computer fixed or their router changed every month.
Every
right?
month,
It's just
yeah.
it's routine work. Makeup, you're not getting married every month.
Right, exactly.
You
You're
might
not
have
going on camera every month.
Exactly.
You're not doing all of that. And it's also, so there's a difference between what I do and a hairstylist. A hairstylist has regular clients who come into the salon every, so often to get their hair cut, their hair colored, their this, that, and the other. Makeup, it's a much more specialty.
Exactly.
It's an exclusive luxury thing you do for special things. You're not coming in constantly. I don't, work with someone every single day. Now, if I were in New York or LA, I would be working with celebrities and things like that every single day to get them ready. But that's not the market that I'm in. I'm in a different market.
So has that crossed your mind, though, in terms of moving and doing that stuff, or no?
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I like the flexibility and the fluidity of what I do. I also like that if I don't like working with someone, I don't have to do it again. And when you're in those type things, you are sort of stuck with working with that person all the time. I don't want it. It would feel more like a 9-to-5 job at that point.
Yeah.
And I like that this doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So,
You said something to me one time that really resonated with me, and that was really about your value. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what it was when we were at? You were talking about.
I don't know exactly what I said.
You were talking about I'm trying to remember exactly how you phrased it, but you were saying, sometimes that middle client, even the lower end clients are better than the middle ones, and then the higher ones are great.
Yeah. Well, and that for me, when I first started, it was finding a price point that worked and finding through that price point who would value my work and who didn't value my work. And that lower crowd will sometimes just say point blank, like, I can't afford you. Like, and I'm like, that's fine. I understand that. I respect that. Yeah. The middle ground will want it and then proceed to tell me that I'm not worth the price that I say. And then try to nickel and dime me oftentimes to get more out of the service, which again, I also respect. If you don't have the money, you do want I get that. And then the higher level clients, they don't question what I charge at all, and they completely value what I do. And it's been finding that sort of balance. I found when I had lower prices, I got questioned a lot more on what my price was. When I raised it, people stopped questioning. They just said, oh, okay, we get it. And I'm like, I was scared when I raised my prices because I thought like, oh, I'm about to like lose out on a lot of people. But then to be literally, everyone stopped asking me why I charged what I did. And it became just like, oh, okay, that's what you charge. And I'm like, fantastic, thank you. Yeah. But for me, it also, I was very worried about being seen as the hired help because I am in a service industry and I saw how, especially in the wedding industry, I saw how hairstylists were treated. And they're not treated well. They're screamed at, they're yelled at, they're talked down to, and I did not want to be seen and treated that way. To me, that was very important to not be treated like that. And so part of the reason I raised my prices, part of the reason I'm at every charity event and I am involved the way I am is to make my clients aware that I'm not the hired help. I'm your peer, I'm your equal. I just happen to provide a service for you. And please also respect my knowledge and expertise in this. So that was part of raising the prices. That was part of why I'm involved in the community, all of that.
Was there a time where you had just made that decision that you were going to do that? Like kind of
it was really
go from
early
hire
on.
help and to like makeup artist, brand expert?
It was almost immediately. Because of my background and things like that, I had watched. I was the scholarship kid at private schools, so I was able to sit back and watch how people with money treated other people, and all of that. And so I went in with a very clear idea of this type of world, because my client base is oftentimes the people who have money. They aren't going to pay $125 for me to be in and out of their house in 30 minutes to do their makeup if they don't have money. So I wanted to be I was very aware of that world. And I also, I made that decision, like I say, almost instantaneously. And that's why I pretty quickly had a logo. That's why I pretty quickly was out there doing it. I mean, I had already joined the junior league at that point. I had already, done all these different things and was already in the community. So I made the decision and it kind of flowed naturally from there. But I mean, I recently worked with a client who was treating the hired help horribly. She had other help in her home. She was screaming at them. She was screaming at me. She was disrespectful to me. She was disrespectful to our town. I mean, she was talking total crap about Gainesville. She wouldn't allow me to do my job. And after working with her 2 days, I contacted her assistant and was like, I'm sorry, I'm not working with you. Because I don't want to be treated like that. And I can't sit back and watch someone else be treated like that. That is not... we all are created equal and we should all be treated that way. So
what was it like firing a customer?
Honestly, like, it's so funny because it's not the first time I've done it. You always get a little bit of nerves because you're like, that's money. But at the same time, I was like, there's no amount of money that you can pay me to be treated like that. Like, I have enough self-respect that I'm not going to show up and be screamed at and to be talked down to because I'm putting makeup on someone. Like, that's just not what I'm going to do. So at first I was like, okay, do I do this? Do I not do this? And I was like, I have to. And, then I did it and it was a huge weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Huge weight.
I think that's a great entrepreneurial lesson in general.
Yeah.
Is learning how to fire a customer.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of the toughest things to do.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, and I was very much in a similar place. I remember being kind of sick to my stomach about doing it because I'm like this. I was like, the customer's always right, and blah 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 blah.
But then you're
blah.
like, wait a second.
and I just remember, man, we had this customer who would just come in and complain about everything, and you would do everything in your power to make him happy, and he would still complain. And then he would never buy anything. He would never spend any money. He would tire kick all of the scooters, and I just remembered like me going up to this person and saying, "Sir, like, we've never been able to make you happy, ever.
You keep coming back,
like, ever. So I'm just gonna politely request that you never step foot in my store again."
Yeah.
And the greatest thing about it was my team. Oh my God, my team like went up like 5 notches. They could not believe that I'd done that. And that I went to bat for them, and that it was like I wasn't gonna let my team take this abuse from a customer.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't deserve to be abused for doing what we do.
Right.
And I, as much as, you know, I'm always wondering where that next gig is coming from, where that next dollar is coming from. It's never worth it.
Nerve-wracking.
It's super nerve-wracking, but it's also not worth it. And like I've had to do it several times. I worked with a photographer one time who did not respect me. And I worked with her for like 3 years before, or 2 or 3 years before I finally was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I panicked because I had gotten a decent amount of money from her. But the thing is every time one of those doors closes, another one opens. And it sounds cliche, but it's 100% true. Every time I've lost a client, whether it's, you know, their company shut down, I fired them, something else has always come to fill that space.
Yeah, it always does.
So I have to tell myself that when I fire a client, like, something else will come.
Have you had to do that yet?
Oh yeah.
Natasha's
Yeah.
like, yep.
Oh yeah. No, I was telling someone the other day, I feel like the universe kind of works with you in this way. Like, if you're hustling and if you're trying hard and you're doing what you love and like you're making sure that you're being respected, even if you have to turn down opportunities, somehow it just like works itself out.
It does.
Always.
It really does.
I've never been disappointed by it. Like, you're sad for a few days, you're like stressed out, and then the next day something better comes along and you're like, ugh, I was so stupid.
And that's
like,
why I turned that down.
You just so now I just approach things, I'm like, if I turn this down, I know something will come. So let me just like bite the bullet for 2 days and something else will come up. Yeah. Always. You just gotta like trust yourself that you're doing what you love, and
exactly,
you know,
and you have to
yourself.
keep hustling. You have to, you know, not let that totally pull you down.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's so hard. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's mostly
and
scary.
I mean, I let go of that client recently, and it was in the middle of my worst month. So I'm like, here I am in like this horrible month where I'm not making any money and I'm firing a client.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, am I crazy? But, you know, I know something will come right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
you know you're a specialist.
I can totally empathize with that.
Yeah, you're a specialist and you need to be respected for what you do.
Exactly.
Just, you know, people might not understand, you know, doing makeup and all that stuff, but you're a specialist and that's why they hired you. So like, you got to like stick to your grounds and stick to your, you know, your morals. You're like, okay,
this is
I'm going to be respected.
And it's got to happen. It drives you crazy. Like when people hire you as the expert, as the specialist, and then they tell you how to do your job.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
And my training is a little different because of my background in theater, you know, and film and television. I am trained how to do makeup with lighting and on camera, which is very different than a way a lot of other makeup artists are trained. So when I'm brought in to work with someone specifically to get them ready on camera, I'm going to do their makeup a little bit differently than someone who, you know, doesn't have that training. So I oftentimes will get well, why did you do that? That's not how I do this. Well, I look different than I do every day. And I'm like, slow your roll. Slow your roll. Wait till you see yourself on camera. And then every time they come back and they're like, my God, you were right. And I'm like, I know. Funny, I've been doing this for like over a decade.
I'm super, super intrigued by that, like that moment where you go from being a service person to being the expert. And really branding yourself that way, right? Because I think you've done a good job of branding yourself as this expert. And one of the things that a lot of people know about with our new company is that we focus, and I know I've talked to you a little bit about like focusing on that personal brand, because I agree. Like, I think something happens when I go from being like, you know, Collin Austin to being like the scooter expert, like, and leading the industry in, you know, in motor scooters, is like basic as that sounds. Like that's actually like a pretty big industry. You know what I mean? And like when you become like an expert in makeup or like in your, and so I don't know, that's, my brain is just constantly thinking of like the fact that more businesses need to do that. Like whether, like if you were an expert salesperson, then like brand yourself as a salesperson. Now you got to have the goods to back it up, right? Like
Yeah.
you have
Well,
to have the skill
exactly.
doing makeup to back it up. But like when you brand yourself as that expert, then it qualifies you for, to ask for whatever you want.
Well, and I mean, I was very fortunate because once the whole thing started taking off, I had that background of my first gig was with MTV. Like, whose first gig is with MTV? Like, that doesn't happen.
I'm still mind blown.
How did MTV find me and call me?
So did you leverage that a lot? Like to get future gigs? You're just
100%.
I do makeup for MTV.
I would have tattooed MTV on my forehead.
Well, I mean, when my first few gigs are, the MTV and Axe commercial, and then almost immediately after that, and funny thing is I didn't know who this person was at the time. Then I did a NBC Sports and USA Swimming shoot with Ryan Lochte, and I had no clue who he was. Had no clue, but I knew that people did. And I was like, wait, these are my initial, and then the Home Shopping Network thing. And when people found out that I had been on TV for years, HSN's been around for forever. It's national television. It's filmed live. And I went on TV with no makeup on and built my face on television and talked about it. That right there suddenly made me an expert. So I was very fortunate in the opportunities that I had. It allowed me to leverage that with my clients, because I would be, doing a wedding, and the mother of the bride would come in and she would start being rude to me, start talking down to me, start, treating me like crap. And then I would just happen to hint, well, last time I was on television, last time I did HSN, and they'd go, what?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'd be treated completely differently. And it was, I wasn't doing it to brag. I was doing it to say, lady, I got you.
Yeah.
Slow down, take a breath. I know what I'm doing. You don't have to scream at me.
Yeah.
And I would see an instant shift. So I was fortunate because I had that. But it did allow me to get to that expert level very quickly in my career.
Okay, so, and at that, when somebody contacted you for a gig, like how did you determine like your pricing?
Honestly, that first gig with MTV, they told me.
My pricing's $100,000. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll settle for 50.
MTV told me my pricing my first time, which is actually funny because I realized 6 months ago that I still hadn't raised that price for that type of work, and I was like, oh my god, it's been 10 years, maybe I should raise that price. I'd raised every other price. They told me what it was, and it was pretty much standard industry pricing for that type work. Then everything was trial by error after that, because I was like, okay, well, it's doing a commercial is different than doing a wedding, different from doing an individual client. How do I do that?
But when you started like becoming like this expert, did you like really kind of say that or like how did you use that to get more
eventually?
Okay.
At first, no. At first I was just treading water.
Okay.
I was losing money, and my pricing was not covering my expenses, and I quickly figured out how to cover my expenses. And then when I started getting questioned about pricing, and then when I finally did raise my prices to where they are now, it was because I'm the expert in this. And that's now why I'm hired. That's now why they pay what they pay for me to be on set. And do I lose clients? Yes. Do I sometimes have clients who come with me and then they go with someone cheaper and then they come back to me? Yes. But that's the way it works. But yes, branding myself as the expert in getting you camera ready 100% has allowed me to expand what I do and my prices.
Do
you settle? I'm sorry.
No.
Do you I'm gonna let Natasha ask all her questions now. I'm like all over here, like super focused on. I mean, have you ever felt yourself settle like for that? And so this is basically where I'm going, right? We got this new media company.
Yeah.
It's off to a hot start.
Yeah.
It's off to a really hot
start. Yeah, you guys are doing great.
And I'm excited about the direction that we're going, but I'm constantly analyzing the opportunity cost because I'm like, okay, I have a lot of people that have come to us that want to work with us, but they don't have quite what the amount that I would like to invest, whether it's into their personal brand, into their business, like whatever it is. It's just not quite there.
Yeah.
And so I've had people say, well, you should consider like doing a little bit less.
No.
Because that might be like the stepping stone.
No.
That might be like get them in, get them locked, and then like use that as the stepping stone to go up to the next level and then the next level. Whereas me, I'm like, well, my time,
That's the thing.
I'm doing a lot
your
of it
time,
right now,
your
especially.
expertise is more valuable than that.
Yeah.
I fought this big time because, you know, when you first start, you question constantly, is it worth it? You know, is someone going to actually pay me that? And at first I would cut deals. I would lower my price. I would do this, that, and the other. But every time I did, I got screwed. Point blank. Like, and that client never respected me.
But if you had like an entry level package, like something that you could like introduce them like to your brand and to your business and the things that you're doing, and they can get like that taste, and they can see a little bit of result from that, and then have them go, oh, I want to. All right, now I'm ready to do more.
Yeah, I have such an
Like,
issue with that, like figuring out that, like,
I'm seeing this a lot. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking, because I got to think that you deal with this a lot.
I do. I definitely do. And to be honest, I go, sorry,
Really?
I'm not a right fit for you.
That's-
If you want to work with me, you're gonna have to pay my rates, point blank. And that's why my wedding packages, if you want me, you're going to be paying a higher amount. If you want one of my assistants, that's cool. They'll be cheaper. But if you want me, you are paying for my expertise. And I don't really do discounts. So how I've gotten around that is by donating a package to a silent auction for a charity or something like that. Because to me, I would rather give something completely to a nonprofit that they can make money for their organization, and then that person bids on it and gets it at a discounted rate, than me giving a discount, because
it's still the value.
Exactly, it devalues you if you are giving discounts and lowering what you're doing. To me, that is very important, to not devalue what I do, to always keep that. And I have friends who laugh. They're like, you charge us just the same as you charge, you know, Sally Mae Schwartz on, you know, who just called you randomly. You know, and that to me has been very important, to always do that. Because the last thing you also want to have is, say you do that for some business and then they tell their friend the price that they paid with you. Then it gets like, it totally muddies the water. You have to be consistent. You have to know what your value is and set that price. And it's scary. Like, I raised the rates of my weddings January 1st. And I kept having consultations, and no one was booking, and no one was booking, and no one was booking. And I literally this past Friday was like, am I going to have to reevaluate this? Like, I didn't raise it that much. It's totally worth the value. It's actually like, what they're getting is really good for that price. Like, oh my God, but did I screw up? Did I mess up? And then I literally said to myself, if I don't book the consultation I have on Sunday, I'm reevaluating everything. And I booked that consultation. Yeah. So I started second guessing myself, which I almost never do. But it turned out it was right. You know, so don't, and not everyone's going to be able to afford it.
Right.
And I recognize, because I can't afford me. To be perfectly honest, I can't afford me. You know, but I'm also not my client.
Yeah.
And there's going to be someone else that they can go to who can do things cheaper. Is it going to be the same service you provide? No. It shouldn't be the same service you provide, because that's the point of you charging more. And they had to find that. And, you know, I've worked with photographers who for a long time included other makeup artists in what they provided their clients, because the other makeup artist was cheaper. And then one day, for some reason, that makeup artist wasn't around, so they hired me at my rate, and their sales went up. And suddenly, guess what? I'm now doing those jobs. People will figure it out. It can be slow at the beginning, but it's worth it.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, have you had a client who's done work with you for a very long time, and you've charged them like this amount, you know, like whatever that amount is, and then you're like, okay, now I'm worth more. Now the price is here.
Honestly, I haven't had that happen yet, because my
grandfathering people in.
Yeah, well, my individual prices, when I raise them, I only raise them by like $5-10 at a time.
Okay.
My wedding packages jump up a lot, but I'm not hopefully getting bridal clients on a regular basis that are the same person. Like, if I do, like, sweetie, you probably should get some therapy, like, if you're getting married every 5 minutes. So like, that hasn't had an effect. I sort of structure, you know, my wedding prices go up regularly. My individual client prices have gone up. When I first started, an individual client was $85. That was 10 years ago. It's now $125. So you can see I slowly worked up to that over a decade.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with, this is one of the big things, because aside from the business I own now, I had another one a while back. It'll start up again soon, but it was a social media agency, and a lot of my family and friends, they want their business to start doing social media, and they look at me as like, oh, like, can you just can I give you $20 and you,
girl,
how do you deal with that? Because you're worth more, but it's like, oh, but that's like my uncle's cousin's friend. Like, how am I going to charge him more?
It's really hard.
My uncle's cousin's friend.
Everyone
But
knows
it's true.
someone.
It's true. And
know?
I'll get well, don't you just want to play with makeup on my face? No, sweetie, I don't want to play with makeup on your face. This is my job.
No, I don't want to play around with Instagram for you on a post. Yeah. No, I want you to pay me.
And I get that all the time, because what I do is seen as a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a total hobby. Don't you want to play with my face? Don't you want to do a photo shoot for fun and do my makeup? Won't that be so fun? No, honey, that's my job. That is what that's what I do for a living. And I point blank look at them and go, okay, well, that'll be $125.
Yeah.
And they go, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my job.
Yeah.
Do I ask you to do your job? And I've literally thrown it back on them sometimes. Because say they, I don't know, whatever their job is, I say, do you expect me to go to you and say, do your job for free?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not asking you to come do what you do for free. Please don't ask me to do the same.
Yeah.
And it's taken some education. Most of my friends now know not to ask me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I don't on occasion say, hey, BFF, I'm going to do your makeup today.
Yeah.
Because I do. I will every once in a while throw that to someone. If it's a very, very dear friend, I might say, hey, I'll do your makeup for free on your wedding day, but I need to book all of your bridesmaids. So
you're not saying I'm gonna do your makeup for free, but over the altar, I need my Kara Winslow banner.
We need the pink car right next to you.
She drives off in the pink car.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to drive away. You have to drive off.
Honestly,
from
that's
your
a good
wedding
trade.
Exactly, right?
After her honeymoon, Kara Winslow car.
That's perfect. I love it.
Basically, the car needs to be in every wedding photo.
Yeah.
Blast it all over social.
Perfect. But you're gonna face that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you faced similar things. It's just saying, please respect that this is what I do for a living.
Yeah, I'm actually.
But you're also gonna find people will avoid you too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had definitely a lot of people people I thought were friends who the minute they get engaged won't speak to me.
No.
Because they're terrified I'm gonna try to sell. And I'm like, sweetie, I just want to know if your wedding planning is going okay. You don't have to book me. I don't care. It's your wedding day, not mine.
That's
totally understand that.
It's very interesting. But I definitely have a lot of people who literally the minute they get engaged will just drop off their.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yeah, because they're terrified I'm gonna try to sell them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will even meet with them and say, pick my brain. I have been in the wedding industry for 20 years. I have way too much wedding knowledge. Please pick my brain. I don't expect you to book me. I won't even bring my contracts with me. Pick my brain, ask me questions. If you want to book me, if you want to talk about my services, cool. But if you don't, I'm totally cool with that too.
Yeah, you're still friends.
We're still friends. I really do. Business and friendship are not the same thing.
Yeah.
But you will find people will they might avoid you.
Yeah, it gets uncomfortable.
They're scared you're going to just try to sell them all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to. I don't
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So you're going to get both sides.
That's how I'm with the jewelry. I'll wear jewelry and they'll see me wearing it, or I'll do a show and every girl, we all wear jewelry, and they just avoid you, or they'll wear another piece of jewelry and almost try to hide it. And I'm do you think I'm the only person who sells jewelry on the face of the earth?
And you're only allowed to wear your
and you're
jewelry.
only allowed to wear my no, I wear other people's jewelry. It's okay. And then it's just a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. And you just I've had such a hard time with that, where you get mad that they don't buy your stuff, but then you're okay, see, I'm not the only person.
And
either.
you'll also get to the point where you no longer are mad, because you're just it's your jam. My work may not fit your needs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I recognize that my style of makeup is not going to fit every single client's needs, nor every one of my friends. So that's okay.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Exactly. Agreed.
I was just enjoying watching you two go back and forth on this.
We're vibing. We're like,
We
yeah,
are.
man, it sucks.
Well, do you have any other questions for her before we wrap up?
Yeah, well, I had one question because, of course, I'm such a makeup junkie, and I wanted to know how you felt about, like, makeup is moving. Like, you're mostly specializing in TV and things like that, but it's really, really moving into, like, the social media movement. I wanted to know, like, how you're adapting to that, and like, do you like it? Like, you know, I love, like, I spend all night watching people like James Charles or Jaclyn Hill, and like, those are our new makeup, almost
Gurus.
where they're makeup celebrities at this point. Like,
Yeah, Kara, let's talk about this.
like,
Because he's mad at me for not doing my own.
She's starting to sound like somebody else I know.
you know, like, what are you gonna go on that trend? Like, when am I gonna see the Kara Winslow YouTube channel so I can?
So it,
okay. Like, I wonder where that's been brought up before.
Sore subject.
So, like, you probably don't know, but I run a media company.
Okay.
Like, New Scooters for Less, yes, is my business, but I've like started a new media unagency, as we like to call it.
Okay, I like that.
Because we're super untraditional, unique,
I love that.
unorthodox. And like, literally been having this conversation with her, and I'm not and again, kind of going the same direction of what we just left off, like, not trying to sell you on my services. Like, I'm like,
No,
literally
I'm
like,
we didn't team up before this. No, I'm so curious because, like,
but I'm like, you
makeup
need to do this.
It's not even a service anymore. It's like, you're famous for doing makeup.
Right.
Like, you're the celebrity.
well, and that's
now.
the thing. When I started, that wasn't around.
Yeah.
When I started, you would read Kevin Aquan's book. It was all about making a book at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't about all
Which
of
I think
this.
is still very prevalent.
Very
in a lot of
prevalent.
ways.
Yeah.
But the social media thing has definitely taken off. And I've had a hard time. I've been very resistant because I come from a film and television background. So I want the lighting.
Yeah.
I want to storyboard everything. I want it perfectly edited. I want this, that, and the other. So I've been very resistant to it. I'm beginning to loosen up because I have to. But it's also been interesting because the makeup you see in social media is not the makeup that I'm going to deliver to a client. The makeup you see is oftentimes, it's gorgeous. However, if you wore that to Publix, people would think you were insane. It's very heavy makeup. It's very theatrical makeup. It's very drag queeny makeup in many ways. And it is absolutely gorgeous, but a regular client is not going to be drawn to that. And a lot of the products that are being used and pushed on social media also aren't good for the everyday client. The bane of my existence, I love sparkle and shimmer. Notice my shirt is sparkly, my car is sparkly. I love me some sparkle and shimmer, but we don't put it on our face because on camera it jacks you up. And everything that is being promoted is highlighters. You know, you've got your unicorn dusts and your this, that, and I'm like, oh dear Lord. Like, as pretty as that is in the package, you look kind of freaky in person when you start having rainbow sparkle shimmer across your, cheekbone. Like, what?
So,
I'm sorry.
but you're saying, so like, you're afraid it's going to give the wrong idea?
Well, and so that with doing it myself, I have to figure out how to cross that line of what is popular on social media and what is actually going to sell. And I know for myself, when I first started doing my local branding, I put in it some of the extreme work I did because I started doing a lot of really amazing, intricate stuff with feathers and rhinestones and building these appliques. And I would put that in my ad because it was beautiful and amazing and super creative and all this, and it terrified my clients. And I was losing business because of it. So I am in the process of trying to figure out.
I'm going to push back. Go ahead, finish.
Trying to figure out what I want to do with YouTube and all of this because I know I need to, but it's like, how do I walk that line? So I'm in the process of sort of developing what I want to do with that structure.
You be
but
transparent.
Not exactly.
Okay, like the answer to this question is, if one, like, doing the more theatrical stuff, if that's like the niche, like, that's great. Because, like, niches win.
Yes.
Like, not only, like, you could be, like, makeup, but, like, now you're, like, in a niche in makeup, right?
Right.
And so, like, if you had a YouTube video and you're showing, like, something that's a little bit more theatrical, whatever it is, then you just straight up say that. You'd be like, you would not wear this. Ladies, listen to me.
Please don't wear this.
You would not wear this when you go to Publix. Let me just make that very, very clear
that's
right
like a
now.
theater niche,
Well, and
Right? But this is, like, how you would do this, and you show it, you show the process or whatever it is, and you talk about it. I know in the short term, you're right. Like in the short term, you might lose a client. Somebody be like, "Oh, this girl doesn't know what she's talking about," like whatever. But she's no expert, blah blah blah. But long term, you actually do the opposite. You actually solidify yourself more as an expert, and then those VH1, is that still in existence? Like some other like major like is like, hey, we would like to hire you. They come across it, and you've built this brand and this presence on YouTube, on Instagram, like everywhere, and you've just made yourself more of an expert to where now you can actually take your prices and go
up even more.
She's the
and it's actually
artist.
funny that you say that, because I'm literally partnering with SWI Photography, who does all the high school yearbook photos, and I've been with them for a couple of years doing a special package for their seniors. We're literally today starting to film some stuff where I'm going to be sort of debunking some of the social media trends to promote to the high schoolers when they're coming to get their senior portraits, and we're going to be doing some video footage of that.
Cool.
So that's sort of like the kickoff. So we're starting. We're starting.
We're starting.
But it's so funny that you brought up. It's so funny that you brought up like YouTube and stuff, because like that's exactly the kind of work that we're doing.
Yeah.
Which is not like very. That's why I say an agency, because like a lot of the other agencies in town, which are all fantastic, they're all great friends of mine. But they do a lot of websites. We don't do websites.
Facebook, like the typical.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I am actually super in love with YouTube. I love like.
Me too. I'm a junkie.
Super, yeah. So I'm a super YouTube junkie, and I just think I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. And I've told her this.
I know.
You have the personality. You have, like, she knows. She's heard my spiel before.
The TV niche,
and
that's what you get into.
Yeah.
You're the TV makeup specialist. So you say, okay, we're not going to do highlight like this. We're going to do it like this because this is how it looks with the lighting. And like you become that. Like people are becoming like YouTubers and videotaping themselves, and they can go to you on like, how should I look on TV? And you become that specialist. Like, that's
I know, I've got to do it.
Oh my God, I'm excited for you. I'm like, maybe I'll do it.
And you're both right. Like, it's funny because like even sitting in the seat, like talking about it, it's like, I'm finding it's hard for me to even like give advice to people because I'm afraid that they're going to think that I'm selling them.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
when people get scared to come near me if they don't have their makeup done, and I'm like, sweetie, I'm not going to like grab your face. Like, you okay? But yeah, you will definitely face that.
Yeah. Kara, so I want your business right now.
Well, I made less than $3,000 this month, so give me a bit, Collin.
I mean,
give me so much.
We'll just take all 3,000, Kara. It's fine. Jeez, you don't need food.
Who needs food and a roof over my head?
Yeah.
Not me. I need a specialist.
No, but it's definitely something that I'm gonna keep pushing you on because
I appreciate it.
Because I know like you have the personality, and I do think a lot of it is tied. It's interesting. As I study it from like the generational standpoint.
Yeah.
It's way easier for like the college kids now, or even the kids that are in high school, to be like, oh yeah, I'm on it. Or like, and like the fact that they're even talking about making careers out of being YouTubers.
I
Like,
know,
that's
like, crazy.
It's crazy
the
to me.
fact that these conversations are happening, that people can do that. And we've had people like right across this table who are like that have careers doing Instagram. Like they make money.
It's insane.
From like posting on Instagram.
When we grew up, getting hold of a video camera was hard.
Right.
Like that was not something you couldn't record, unless you had a lot of money. And, I remember my parents renting a gigantic video camera to make family videos for a weekend. And it was like a huge deal.
That's
like,
crazy.
Huge deal.
And now you
do it right here.
4K video right
like
here.
you do it right here.
Yeah.
And it's
incredible.
It's getting in that mindset, because
and everyone's doing that now. Like I was like, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do everything. But I did a YouTube channel for a while, and I was like vlogging, and I literally had a gimbal like to stabilize and my iPhone. That's it. And that's how I ran the channel. And you're getting like, it's like you can build a career off that. Like I was getting thousands of views on like stupid stuff using my phone to videotape. Like, and like people do that. Like, like how do you?
And that's I still have to get my brain to function that
way.
And
that's and it's like it's a little bit of a
figured this out.
generational, difference.
Like I figured this out, and then we're gonna wrap up. But I can tell you that the problem is that so many people, and it's funny because I've been on this kick for like the last week or so. So many people are deathly afraid of what other people are gonna say.
Yeah. That's why I stopped.
See, I've never cared.
I stopped. I got nervous about it. I was like, my friends are going to see this.
Hold on. Straight up, I posted on Instagram last week. It's a clip of me like really standing up for Gainesville and like talking about Gainesville and how there's so much opportunity here and how I'm trying to like make people like realize these opportunities. And dude, the amount of hate, like I got people that says Gainesville sucks, and then I'm just like I start going back at them, asking questions, like people who are like straight up trolling me. And,
oh my God.
And straight up hating, not only like, but people would like look at a clip and be like, yo, you could have gotten those gorillas out of the background. They're like way too loud, and actually done like an interview. And like, I mean, like straight up, straight up just mean. I mean, I'm going to say it, mean shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like mean. And I know that so many people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That they will not post, that they will not like build their brand, that they won't do these things because they're afraid of what other people are going to say and think about
it. I can say that for myself. I would be like, people are going to think I'm ugly in my YouTube video, or I spoke weird, or I stuttered, or I did this, and I literally started to panic and I shut it down.
Well, it's so funny because that's never been my fear, but that might be because of my theater training. Because as an actor, as an actor, that's all you do is get rejected, and it's
so if you don't have that fear, then you have
I have no fear of that.
Like, you should just do it.
We're selling you. You're selling you. I don't get it.
I know.
Everybody's selling you. Like, let's go. I mean, it's been crazy to kind of see that people get so hung up on what other people say that they're afraid to take action and
see, and it's so funny because that's not been it at all with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. Well,
but it's just a common thread that.
I need to. After talking with you the other day, I was like, okay, I'm starting. I'm gonna start. Okay, we're starting.
Well, I also think that there's this false perspective that it's too late.
Yeah.
I think people go, oh, but I see like people on Instagram that have millions of followers and I only have 5. Like it's too late.
Right.
And even same thing with Facebook and stuff. Like, oh, well, Facebook's for old people now. And I understand these perceptions and I study these perceptions. And I mean, in a lot of ways, they're right. Like, I mean, if I'm working with a business and I know that key demographic is older, then I'm going to say we need to target on Facebook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's more college age, I'm like, oh, we need to target on Instagram and Snapchat, so like so don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that as well. Totally forgot where I was going with that now. What was I saying before that?
I don't know.
The
bottom line is you got to start on YouTube already.
And you were talking about how like the fear of not having enough followers already, starting too late.
Yeah. So like, like that's the thing. Like what people don't realize is that even with Facebook being like it's only 15 years old. Yeah. Like, so even though it's like much more of an older crowd, if you will, like it's only 15 years old.
Yeah.
Like it's still young.
Yeah.
And then when you bring in like Instagram and Snapchat and some of these others, like they're still really babies.
Young.
Yeah. Like
there's new things every day. So like as long as you're watching out for those trends, like you might be the person who like hops on that next app and like you're the star of that one. So you just have to be like, especially with like makeup being so popular now, it's like bound to happen. Like something's gonna come out that's like very makeup centric.
Yeah.
Can you just like follow me around and like pep talk
and
me?
Hype you up? Like you got it. Just like put a little clip in your ear and like, I got you.
Well, and I also think that a lot of people just make up the excuse, I don't have enough time.
Oh, there's always time.
There's always time.
Like,
there are 24 workable hours in every day.
Yeah, it's just you're not good at scheduling. That's the truth.
I'm not good at scheduling. That's why I like had to find help with that. So anyway, I obviously like lost my thought at the end, so that means like I'm tired and done. my brain is done. My brain is finished. Probably should have finished like 10 minutes ago before that happened. But no, Kara, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
It was fun. And Natasha, you too. Good luck being a student entrepreneur.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Wrapping up your college career. That's exciting.
I know.
Going
the real
into
world.
The real world.
Terrifying.
So, I appreciate you coming on and being my guest co-host today.
Thank you for having
awesome
me.
Getting to know you.
Honored to be here.
Yeah. Real quick, why don't you both kind of tell people where they can find you? So, like, if you have Instagram, a website for your business, like, what are those places?
My personal is Natasha Jewett. Just my name. But my business is suede.shop on Instagram, so suede.shop. And then the website is linked there, but it's www.suede-shop.com. So if you're looking for jewelry or something like that, we have a lot of Gator stuff too for the locals.
Cool.
And yeah, you can find me there.
All right. And Kara, all your stuff.
On Instagram, I have my personal, which is just Kara Winslow. I have my business page, which is Kara Winslow, MUA. And then on Facebook, my business page is Kara Winslow, makeup artist. And then I also have a Snapchat as well, which is just Kara Winslow. And a website, www.karawinslow.com. Boom. Lots of my name out there.
Well, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. This is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa! We'll see you later.